Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make this tulip wire weave, and this is what it can look like. So this is the weave. So you have your base wire there on the bottom wrapped all the way, but then you have these little tulips springing up from the ground, kind of is the effect that I think it looks like. So if you want to learn how to make this weave, then keep watching. So the wires that I'm going to use to demonstrate with is 4 lengths of my 1mm wire here. These are going to be the base wires that we're going to be wrapping on, and then also we need 1 length of our wrapping wire, and this is just a 0.4mm wire that I'm working with. So first off, we need to get 1 length of our base wires and then also the wrapping wire here. I'm just going to attach this first, so I lay my wrapping wire on top of my base wire and leave a little short tail to hold on to, and then I'm just going to start coiling this around the base wire just a couple of times. So just wrapping it here just around the single base wire. Really, it's up to you how many times you want to do that. And then we're coming downwards here. So now what we need to do is start introducing the next wires. So I take my next base wire and lay that above the first one there. So it's going to lie like this. And then what we need to do is my weaving wire here, is coming downwards and going towards around the back of my base wires. So I'm going to let it come all the way around the back of both of them, and then over the top and around the front of both my wires here, back down all the way around the bottom of the first one. So we've now done a single wrap around both wires. Now I want to add in my next base wire, lay that above the other two again like this. So we just keep stacking them on top of each other. Now come around the bottom of all of them and around the back, from the back around the top of that top wire now, so the third one, and then we want to come down between the bottom two to be able to wrap around the top two on their own now. Just the once again, push that down, come upwards again with your weaving wire, and it's around the back. Add in your last base wire again on the top above the rest of them here. So just like that. So we now have all our base wires in place, and for this very last one upwards, we're going to come up in between the top two wires like that. So we're now going to incorporate the top one by going around over the top of that on its own like that. So it's now coming back around towards underneath the back of all your base wires here. So for the next one, we're coming all the way down the back, and then we want to come up between the bottom two, because then what we want to do is wrap around the middle two again on their own, like the last double wrap we did over here on this side before we did the single wrap on the top. So double wrap around both wires there, the single wrap around 2 base wires. So we go up 2 wires again. So come down in between the top 2. So you're just wrapping around the 2 middle ones now on their own. Push this all the way down, and then come all the way around to the bottom here, the very bottom base wire. We're going around the back and coming up from there, back around. Now we need to wrap around the bottom 2 base wires. So we go down in between the 2 that we just wrapped together, the 2 middle ones there, push that all the way down, and then finally, to finish off this little section, come up between the 2 that you just wrapped, so up between the bottom 2, and push that all the way down. And then we're now back to the bottom here, and what I'm going to do now is just wrap around the bottom wire, base wire there, on its own. And again, this is really up to you how many times you want to coil it around here. That all depends how much space you want between each of your little peaks here. So you just keep wrapping in until you reach the point where you want to add your next one of your detail in your weave. And then we just want to start and do the exact same thing again. So just to show you again, we're coming downwards here from the very last wrap around the bottom wire on its own. We'll go up behind, because now we have all the wires in place. This first one is where we added in the wires. Come up behind and then up in the middle of our 4 wires. So we go behind 2 wires, base wires, come up in the middle there, wrap around both of those together, the once. So we've now wrapped around 2 wires. Then we step up another wire by coming around the back of 3 wires now. So we're coming up between the top 2 wires there. And then we go down, so we're wrapping around 2 wires, so we come down in between the bottom 2 wires. And push that all the way down. And then we come back up the same place. So again, behind 2 wires, because now we need to do that single wrap on the top wire on its own. So around the top of that, down behind. So we're doing that single wrap there. And then we need to come down behind 3 wires here to come back and do a wrap around 2. So that means we come up between the bottom 2 wires. As you can see here, we're coming up between these 2. Push that down. And then go up 2 wires to wrap around the 2 middle wires on their own. Push that down. All the way behind 3 wires, all the way to the bottom here, to do your single wrap around the 2 bottom wires. So these 2, and down between the middle of your wires here. Push it all the way down, and then come up between the 2 that you just wrapped, so the bottom 2, to finish this one off. And then we'll go back into just coiling around the bottom wire. Again, however much you want to. And obviously if you want to make this even distance between your peaks, your detail and your weave here, you can count the amount of times you wrap your single wire on the bottom here until you then start the next one. Well, it's completely up to you how much space you want. But then this is basically how you do this weave. So it's really quite nice and simple, but it can give a really nice and decorative effect. So just keep going, and then I'll show you how it looks with a bit further on. So this is then how the weave looks when you build it up some more, and you can see it's nice and decorative. So what I just also want to recommend as you're building your weave here is just get some chain nose pliers, and then along the way you go in between your wraps here that are coming up, the decorative parts. So go in between them and just squeeze down on your base wires. It just helps straightens it out a little bit because you can get a little bit out of shape. So if you just do this, you don't do it on the wrapping wires, but just on the base wires there, it completely straightens it out and makes it sit really nicely. So there we go. Then this is the weave. So that's how you make this pretty nice and simple, but it has a really nice impact, especially also using these 2 different colours of wire. So one colour for the base wires and then one for the weaving wire, but that's obviously completely up to you. So that's how you make this. So I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial and found it useful, and otherwise thank you very much for watching. Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make this Aztec wire weave, and it looks like this. So it's a really nice and decorative weave that's pretty simple to do once you know the technique. You get these little triangles or pyramids going all the way across. So if you want to learn how to make this weave, then stay tuned. So to make this weave, what we'll need first of all is our base wires, and in this case I'm working with 4 lengths and they're all 1 mil in thickness. Now you can easily work with